Another pay-per-view and another title change. It's been a wild year and we're only 2 months in. The road to WrestleMania itself has significantly changed. We've been hearing multiple rumors, plans, and whatnot. Nobody knows what's up. But after this pay-per-view, it seems the card is shaped up. We know what the big matches are going to be, all set after the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Now, for some reason yesterday, I thought the show was going to begin at 1 o'clock. Turns out, it starts at 12 and I missed out on 3 matches. So I had to go back and watch those matches in order to make this video. The show itself, in my opinion, was not like that interesting or anything like that. Like if you don't watch it, it's not going to be like, oh man, I missed a lot. It's just there, but if you watch it, it's average. It's not good outright. What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get into it. The first match on the pre-show is between The Miz and Rey Mysterio. The cover star is apparently on the pre-show. This story had been building ever since Miz got Rey kicked out of ringside. He invited the Mysterios to Miz TV where he insinuated Dominic was Eddie's son, which was something else. But as for this, decent match. Rey was still quick as ever. The fans are fully behind him. Dominic was getting involved a lot, but he ended up paying the price. Miz's snarky intelligence once again saved him, and you'd think he'd learn from his father, Rey. But even then, Rey won it, and Miz's reaction is like mine when I saw what 2K had for IGN yesterday. The Mysterios ended up double teaming him and celebrating. Good stuff. It's not the best match on the show, but if you were tuning in, I'd say you would enjoy it. Miz afterwards, during the show, said that he's got to call someone to help him in his battle against the Mysterios. And I, for some reason, thought of John Morrison because it sounds like something WWE would do, and who knows. But it's rumored to be, spoiler alert, Logan Paul of all people. Why? Pop culture stuff. Another person could be Cody, but is doubtful because, well, it does seem likely that Miz would invite Logan Paul. Moving on, the first match on the show was for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, defends the title against Goldberg. So apparently this was Goldberg's last match with this contract. I do expect him to renew because he makes loads of cash doing these quick sprints. Roman's run is historical. It's been a long time since someone in WWE held the title that long, and it's interesting to think who will end the run. It could be a young guy from NXT 2.0, or it could be Brock Lesnar. I'm going with the latter. Goldberg, I should know, was playing with house money, which is something they constantly mention, like, bro, we get it. And about the match, you guys know how it is. It's Goldberg style. Spear, high-impact moves, and I didn't watch it live to know how dramatic it was, but looking at it here, I'd say it was like that Drew McIntyre match. Ultimately, Roman retained because he's their guy. I mean, he ain't no fiend. And it was serviceable stuff. The thing with these Goldberg matches is that the novelty wore off. At first, it was cool when you saw him with Brock Lesnar. They're out there destroying the barricade, hitting these big-ass finishers, but now it's just more of the same and it's basic. The positive from it is the fact that it didn't last long, because if you have Goldberg in there longer, it's going to get bad. The next match is a women's elimination chamber with the winner facing the Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss. Okay, the outfits were definitely noticeable. They got creative, especially Liv, who took it back to 2000 with a Britney Spears look. And the match itself was once again extremely rushed. I don't know why these chamber matches were so short, because they're on the network. What's stopping them from having longer matches? There was some nice spots here, but it's very weird seeing a chamber match this short. I mentioned it once, I'll say it again. Other than that, the result wasn't outright expected, because some thought Alexa might win it, and I'm glad she didn't, because this is Bianca's year again. She's got to avenge her loss. Rhea was another one, but I thought the result was right. You know, it makes sense to have Bianca win it and face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, because that's the big match. And I feel they should main event night 1 over Charlotte and Ronda. I feel there's going to be more hype with their match instead of the SmackDown one, but we'll see. Chamber match, as I said, rushed. You can't really expect them to have a classic with 15 minutes. It just isn't possible. The next match is a tag team match. Charlotte and Sonya Deville faced Naomi and Ronda Rousey. Little tag match in anticipation for WrestleMania. These stories have been building for a while, especially Naomi and Sonya. Rousey came out in her 2008 Olympics outfit and had the loudest crowd reception. She had one arm tied behind her back, and the action itself was just there. Ronda did kind of surprise me because she was more interesting with one arm tied behind her back, which is bizarre to me. Other than that, this match is not notable, and in a way, it wouldn't feel out of place as a match on SmackDown. Charlotte ended up taking advantage of her. Rousey struggles with matches to break through, and Naomi comes in and the complexion of the match changes. The babyfaces ended up winning to build momentum for WrestleMania, and Sonya ended up tapping out to Ronda. Average, nothing bad, but if you go out of your way to watch it, you'll probably forget about it. That's basically me. I watched it and just didn't really think much about it afterwards. It just felt filler. I expect Naomi to face Sonya at WrestleMania. I did hear some people say she should Kofi Mania her way into the match, but I doubt that happens because she's got to finish the story with Sonya. The next match is a Falls Count Anywhere match. Drew McIntyre faced Madcap Moss. This is the match that kind of surprised me. Heading into it, I did not give a damn. You know, Drew deserves to be on a much higher level than this, but they're dragging him down. Nonetheless, this match was way better than expected. Drew looked like a monster for the most part. At one point, he dropped Moss onto his head, and it just looked horrendous. He obviously needed help from Corbin multiple times during the match, but even then, McIntyre was too much here. And with the sword in hand, hit the damn Claymore. Very surprising encounter. It's one of those matches you have zero expectations for because you don't care about it. They end up doing something good. Other than that, I just want Drew away from this program. You know, I'm just not interested in Happy Corbin and a Drew McIntyre feud. It's best that after WrestleMania, he makes his way back to the main event. And I remember how he was constantly getting title shots last year, and now it's the opposite. There should be some sort of middle ground, right? And the next match is for the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch, the champion, defended the gold against Lita. Alright, this is a dream match of sorts. Lita is always that underappreciated women's legend. Every time they mention her, you hear Trish Stratus or Team Extreme, and it's almost never as her own person. After that, she had an embarrassing send-off, but here, though, it was a different story. Lita hadn't had a proper singles match since SVR 2007 was a new game, and despite her ring rust, I was impressed. It wasn't because of the action itself, but the heart and the passion that she showed makes this good enough for me. It's like they forced it to be good enough because heading into it, I heard some who thought it was going to be terrible. I had no doubts Becky was retaining, but then Lita hit the twist of fate in the moonsault, and my reaction was like anybody's. However, Becky Lynch ended up dropping Lita and retaining. Not a bad match, and because my expectations were kind of low, that helped. Becky, I assume, goes on to lose to Bianca, but who knows. As for Lita, maybe if Bayley's back, they could have her face her, or even Sasha Banks, because they need to put her on the WrestleMania card. And Lita's a great opponent for her because it shows that they actually care. For some reason, the Viking Raiders traveled all the way to Saudi only to get attacked by the Usos. I also heard that this match wasn't even supposed to happen regardless, and that they just did this for the sake of it, which is funny. But I believe they'll have a match on SmackDown, so there's that. And the main event. Bobby Lashley defends, well, not defends, but somewhat features in his own Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship with AJ Styles, Riddle, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. This was the match I was most interested in seeing. Unfortunately, though, the sentiment I had, and I assume you had, was true. You know, nobody's bigger, even close to Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. The others had the match. Solely each man enters and the action is just there. It's not something that you're going to be like, wow, this is great. Then Seth Rollins hits the buckle bomb on Theory, who bumps into Lashley, whose head hits the metal beam. And as a result of this, he was led out of the match, meaning a new champion named Brock Lesnar was guaranteed. I personally thought they CM Punk'd him, and technically they did, but multiple reports have said that Lashley had to be taken away because he was already injured. Nobody knows if it occurred at the Rumble because other than that match, he never wrestled since. Lesnar dropped the opposition like nothing, which was kind of sad and annoying, because it basically shows whoever's not Roman Reigns is way beneath them. AJ got taken out like that. Riddle, and Seth Rollins, who beat Lesnar twice. Austin Theory, though, put up more of a fight, if you call it that, and it showed that they actually have high hopes for him. You know, it's not a great spot or anything like that, but he got more offense in than Seth Rollins, Riddle, and AJ did. But even then, when Lesnar caught him, he F5'd them off the pod and won the title. The chamber match could have been something. It had an amazing set of talent, young talent, experienced talent, and of course, Brock Lesnar, but they went to Shayna Baszler role. I know she eliminated them one by one, but it's kind of the same thing. Now, what did I like? Well, I liked seeing Lesnar cause chaos. But the problem is they're doing too much when they shouldn't. Why is he even in the match in the first place if he won the Royal Rumble? The Raw guys, they need the title more so. He made multi-time champions look like nothing even though they pushed him to the limit, or in Seth Rollins' case, beat him. Out here doing Brock and Roman like we didn't see it 5 times beforehand. And the dynamics are of course different. We gotta acknowledge that. But the problem is, other than WrestleMania 31, I just didn't like any of their matches. And it's a shame because this new Brock Lesnar is the best thing in WWE. He's having fun. He's more lively and entertaining than he's been in the past. All I'm saying is that I hope this thing ends for good at WrestleMania. Like, we all expected it to be at WrestleMania. It's just best if they did it for the Universal title, not with the WWE title doing the champion versus champion thing. I mean, the match is already big. It's the biggest match on the show. They don't need to add a damn title to it. It's unnecessary. But like I said, I hope this thing ends for good at WrestleMania. It's time to focus on other stories. Who am I kidding? This thing will continue until the end of the decade. Brock will probably return for Money in the Bank, and instead of winning, he's going to snatch it from Austin Theory and claim himself as the owner of the briefcase. But yes, chamber match, underwhelming in my opinion. It could have been more than that. Like, we expected Lesnar to win. We expected him to cause chaos. But other than that, there was nothing. That's the Elimination Chamber show. I did not expect it to be that good or anything like that. It was just average. None of the matches are terrible by all means, but there wasn't a true classic or something that was must watch on this show. My favorite match of the night, honestly I didn't put much thought into it, Becky Lynch versus Lita. This is the match that I feel exceeded my expectations and was much better than any other match on the show. Lesnar causing chaos was cool, you know, I always wanted to see him in an Elimination Chamber, but I just didn't like the way they went about it. Like, we all knew he was going to win, but it could have been more interesting, right? Alright, what'd you guys think of Elimination Chamber? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the KOD on the like button, perhaps the F5 on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.